Back in the cold now, that's all I've ever known. Oh, is the light green? Hey, if anybody's ever got one of these real mics, the easiest way to tell if this thing dies is if the green light goes out. All right. And then when you plug it in with the USB cord that comes with the real mic, it will change into an orange color. And then it should either go back to green or I think blue or something when it's completely charged. It's, they're pretty easy to figure out. And if anybody's looking for a good lapel mic, I'll tell you what, this real mic, I think for the money, it's a no-brainer. Hey, there's a lot of talk out there about end of days and the dooms. These doomsdayers are talking about the end of times right now, and there's a lot of things that they're finding a correlation into with the Bible of this is it, man, this is it. One thing you need to know, it's not the end of times, it's the beginning, okay? Every day is a new day. My son was going off to work last night. He had a less than favorable morning and less than favorable night. And as he was headed out the door, I walked out on the porch with him and I said, son, look up at the sky. You see that? There's a sun out there today. He goes, yeah, Dad, it was there yesterday. I go, the sun you saw yesterday was not today's sun. Every day is a new day. Go out and get your sun. You all right, Dad? And he took off and headed on. I have no doubt with me telling him that first thing this morning, he's not going to go out and absolutely kill it in his sales profession. And that's what we want. We want everybody to go out and absolutely kill it. I want everybody to go out and absolutely kill it. And so you are not darkness, you are light, okay? A lot of us, we go around, we're holding on to past things that have kept us, or maybe things that we've done in the past that we really shouldn't have done. We've all been there. Most of us have done those things in the past. The thing you have to remember is if you've already said you're sorry and you've already asked for forgiveness, you've been forgiven. Move on. It's over. Don't hold on to the past resentment and don't think you're darkness because of the bad things you've done in the past. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new beginning, and every day your slate is wiped clean. So don't hold on to those beliefs that you can't go out and get yours today because of what you did years ago or what you did when you were a kid, all right? Or on the flip side of that, what people did to you and how you were the victim, how they laughed at you. Hey man, we all been laughed at. When I was a kid, I was in second grade, and I remember a sixth grader handcuffing me to a chain link fence and going back into class when recess started. And everybody in the school pointed their fingers and laughed at me. Yeah, I had to deal with that for many years. You know what? That kid remained. I went to not only elementary school with that kid, I went to middle school with that kid, and I went to high school with that kid. I had to constantly see that kid all the time. You know what? It didn't stop me from moving forward and achieving my goals. I didn't let it get on the inside of me, and you can't let it get on the inside of you. You are light. You are not darkness. You are light, and your sins and anything you've done, because Jesus died on the cross, right? The cross. He died on the cross. You're forgiven. Now move forward and go get yours. And my name is Greg Nelson, and this is The Hard Knock State. What is thehardknockstate.com? Thehardknockstate.com is my life coach practice or my business, okay? What the Hard Knock State is, it's the state we're living in until we realize that we can go out and actually get what we want out of life. We go through life, we get bonked on the head time and time and time and time again. And then we try to deal with it, we try to figure it out, we try to learn from our mistakes, but what happens is we don't learn from our mistakes, we're never going to be able to move forward. That's what the hard knock state is. It's that state of getting bonked on the head time and time again, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting your life to change for the better and it getting nowhere. If you have a goal, and if you've seen my past videos in the past, then you know, hey, I got 4 little steps on how you can go out and you can create a better life for you and yourself. 1, you got to have the dream, okay? You got to take a thought and turn it into a dream. Some studies say we get 60, 70,000 thoughts that go through our head a day. I Googled it. It was 6,000 new thoughts per day. So where are the other thoughts? The other thoughts are repetitive thoughts that you've held on to based off past beliefs and past conditionings. And that's all it is. Good, bad, and different. They're just replaying themselves over and over and over again. Maybe those thoughts take on a new word track in your mind based off of what you're going through at that time. But they're the same darn thoughts. Okay, so what do we got to do? We got to pick out, we got to block those out. We got to pick out the good ones of what we see our life to be when at the end, right? What is the goal you want to accomplish? And is that goal is that gonna benefit you and the people around you? Is it gonna help the society around you? Is it gonna help your community? And it's got to be good. It's got to be that big. It's got to be big enough to move you. It's got to be big enough to where it's more than just you. Okay. If it's more than just you, hey, it's got to start with just you, though. I don't want you to think that your goal can't start with just you. Your goal has to, you're first. If you're new to goal setting and you're wondering how to get out of this hard knock state, you got to work on yourself first. Your goals first should be on you. Once you could take care of you, then you can help the other people. And take care of you means internally, body, mind, everything, health, everything. Okay? You got to take care of that. You got to take care of your household finances and your budget, just like my other videos. 3 steps on how to fix your household budget, right? You handle that. You handle you go out and you make it happen and you achieve it. And what happens then? Okay? So number 1 is you take that thought and you turn it into the desire. Number 2 is you make the decision to go after that goal, you commit that you're going to have it no matter what. You're putting your foot down, you're committing, you're driving that stake of commitment down so deep, it's going to cause your body to take action and move towards that goal. Number 3, you write that goal down every day, you block out the negative thoughts, you replace it with the vision of what your life's going to be like once you've achieved that goal, and you write your goals down in the present tense or past tense that you are already achieving it or have already achieved it. And then what you do is then you put number 4, you put the effort in. You put the effort in, you take a little bit of action to work towards your goal every single day, and then you cycle that. And remember the wheel of manifestation, right? You cycle that. 3 steps, you just cycle it. You're spinning it, you're running that cycle every single day. You're staying positive, you're working, continue to work on yourself, continue to help others. Before you know it, you're gonna hit your goal. And because you've done it with so much belief and conviction and commitment behind it, not only are you gonna hit your goal, you're gonna exceed it. Big snowball effect. And that's all it is. Who am I? My name's Greg Nelson, okay? And this is my practice. Where did I start? Man, I was born in Washington State in 1975. I was the first baby born on Mercer Island, in the city of Mercer Island. It's actually a little island, right next to Seattle, between Seattle and this town called Bellevue. And I was the first baby born on that island in the year 1975. I wasn't the first baby ever born on that island, but in the year 1975. Okay. I grew up in the Bellevue area. My parents moved to Bellevue. My dad was in sales. He was worked for a food brokerage. I saw my dad work his ass off. Literally, there was a period of time where I saw my dad sacrifice so much to put his family into this upper middle class house in this upper middle class neighborhood to get out from just being average. I saw him work his ass off. I saw him, not only would he go out in the morning with a suit on and go sell his line of what he sold, but in the evening and on his days off, I remember seeing him taking a job at a grocery store. I remember my mom putting me in the car and we were taking my dad lunch and going to have lunch with my dad when he was working on a grocery store on a Sunday. And I remember asking my Mom, why is Dad working at a grocery store on Sunday? And my mom said, because we want to get the things we want out of life. And we want to make a better life for you moving forward. Sacrifice. He was working on himself to better himself for him and his family and for me. And so we could have the better things in life. What was my mom working? My mom was a corporate secretary. My mom was a career secretary and worked for a very, very large company here in the Pacific Northwest. And so she also worked a 9-to-5 job. So my dad had 2 incomes coming in. My mom had 1 income coming in, and that's where I was. And so I was growing up. I was just like every little kid, man. I was playing baseball. I was playing soccer. When I turned 10 years old, my dad was transferred, his job transferred him to Jacksonville or North Little Rock, Arkansas. And so I spent a couple years there, developed some great friends, people I still hold so dear in my heart today. And we've lost touch over the years, but I still, I mean, they're like when I think back on those memories of those good times in my childhood, man, I see them, and I see a few other people. And so I spent a couple times there, got a little bit different culture here. I'm a Yankee from Seattle, moving down to the South, experiencing that culture. I got to experience the whole South. It was beautiful. I had a great childhood. I was not a childhood that I did not have alcoholic parents. I did not have abusive parents. I did not have parents that talked down to me. I did not have parents that did not believe in me. Were my parents strict? Yes, they were very strict. My parents were strict. They had the rules of the household. Now, if I broke those rules, there was a punishment to be served, so I wouldn't do it again. Okay, that's how life was for me. But I was a normal kid. Now, I'm about 12 years old, 11, 12 years old. I think, no, 12, turning almost 13, something like that. We're moving back to Seattle, okay? My dad, what he did, he did the job he needed to do. The company's moving it back to his original territory, okay? So we moved back. The family moves back to Seattle. Of course, now I'm a rebellious punk, preteen. Some really good, but I did have some really good friends. And I had some friends that were not the rebellious type. I actually had three really close friends in my neighborhood that were not the partiers, were not the drinkers, weren't the pot smokers. Okay? So two of these kids who lived up the street, some of my best friends, they had newspaper routes. And they were like 12, 13 years older. One of the brothers was my age. The older brother was a couple years older. And so the older brother had paper route, had this bigger territory. The younger brother had a smaller territory. I'm like, man, how much are you making on that? I couldn't believe it. They were killing it. As 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, absolutely killing it. And I think they were bringing in, $300-400 a month, back in the 80s. That was pretty good money. And for putting in a couple hours a day at work. So I said, how do I get in on that? How do I get me some, right? And so they hooked me up with the guy, the manager of the newspaper, the big newspaper company in the Seattle area. And so I got a newspaper out. So at the end of the day of school, I'd come home, and for the next couple hours, I'm delivering 60, 70, 80 newspapers. And then, of course, you got to deliver those on the weekend. So that's a 7-day-a-week operation in the rain, in the snow, uphill. If you've been to the Northwest, there's a ton of hills. And where I lived in Bellevue was nothing but hills. It was straight up the side of a mountain. So literally, I'm on a BMX bike, pedaling in the rain, in the snow, delivering these newspapers. Luckily, my dad would help me out on a Sunday, because the Sunday newspaper used to be thick. When we used to get newspapers delivered, a lot of you, I was probably the last generation of newspaper kids, right? The generation after me, they became adult routes, and then people just don't get newspapers anymore, or very few do. But I wanted more than the money I was making, right? Who wouldn't, right? So I took on the competing newspaper. There was another newspaper company, but that was a morning newspaper. So I took on a same paper route, the same size as the evening paper route. And if you can remember, if you grew up back in the 80s and you remember the newspaper routes, just know this, man. When your mom was waking you up and fixing your breakfast to get you ready for school in the morning, I'd been up for 2 or 3 hours in the rain, working my hands to the bone. Okay, delivering my hands. I used to come home at the end of the day, our hands were black from newspaper print, just black, right? And gosh, my territory and my newspaper routes, man, they took up 2 or 3 miles, right? And so I'm doing that 7 days a week. What did that instill? It instilled a work ethic in me that was unstoppable. And so the newspaper route, as you know, you're only going to get so far with that. You're going to be limited on the money you can make and the hours you can put in and the new residents, new customers you can gain, right? You're limited as a 13, 14-year-old kid. Man, today is such a different world, man. 13, 14-year-old kids today, they can go out, they can do whatever they want because of the internet. Man, there was no internet back then. Newspapers, man, that was our internet. You wanted to look something up, you had to grab an encyclopedia. Most kids don't even know what that is today. An encyclopedia, a newspaper, you had to grab some microfilm in the library. Do you even know what a microfilm machine is? I mean, those things, man, to take a little piece of film like this and blow up a whole newspaper. And that's how we used to have to do research. Unbelievable what technology can bring. Now I'm getting into high school, and I'm still playing football, still working, still wrestling. I was a 4-year wrestler, played football for a couple years. Why did I play football for only a couple years? One, I hated the position. I hated the position the coaches put me in. I couldn't stand it. They wanted me to be a center, an offensive center, and I did it for a couple years. I just couldn't do it anymore. All my little league, I was a defensive tackle. So why would you take a guy who's been trained as a defensive tackle, but programmed to be a defensive tackle, and put him as a center? Why? Makes no sense. So their dream didn't line up with my dream. I quit football. Okay? So I'm working my ass off. I'm still wrestling, still trying to do good in school, right? And then what do? The paper out wasn't making me enough, so I go get a job in an Italian restaurant bussing dishes. Okay? So do that, met some great people there. One of the friends I had, now I'm in high school, and one of the guys I was in English class with became a good friend and still is to this day. And he got me in to this guy who owned this little produce market, this little fruit stand, and got me into this produce business. And so I got into there, and I spent the next 15, 20 years of my life in that business. Why? Because a friend got me into it, and it was fun at the time. And that is so like how we are in life. We get into an industry, we get into a business because a friend or somebody we know, somebody we trust and we like and we want to hang out with, tells us, hey man, I'm going to go down to the factory and get a job, you should too. So what do? You go down to the factory with them and get a job, 20 years go by, you're done. I stuck in that business. I actually, after high school, I opened up my own store. And I was so green, man. I did not know what I was doing, did not know anything about business. I lasted one season, I was back. But what I did is I thought I loved that industry so much, I went to go work for a national company. And I climbed that ladder. Man, I got up, climbed the ladder into management with that company, realized it wasn't what I wanted, and opened up another store. And my cousin and I opened up another store, and he was running the store when I was managing the department for this national chain. And now our market is taken off. It's gangbusters. It's going off the way we thought it would. And it was creating so much money that I thought I could quit my job. The market would suffice both of us. Okay, so I told my boss what I was doing. They let me go right on the spot because I signed it. Why did they let me go and why didn't they work with me? Some organizations, they want you to sign a moonlighting, a no compete clause. You're not going to moonlight. You're not going to go out and you're not going to moonlight and make money on the side. And I remember my boss at the time told me, he goes, hey man, I own a ranch. I got horses. I can't even sell the manure. Because if somebody catches me selling the manure, I'm going to lose my job. And so there are companies out there that will prohibit you from doing stuff like that. I'm glad I left. I'm glad I was able to grow by leaving. It was a great company, and I could have grown with the company and gotten even further with the company, but man, it wasn't what I wanted. Because I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. I've always had a side hustle. 13 years old. Not only am I selling newspapers, I'm selling gum and candy out of my locker. I got a little older, cigarettes and chewing tobacco and all the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. So after high school, I climbed this corporate ladder. Okay, and I get into this department manager, realized it wasn't what I wanted to do, opened up my own business and absolutely loved it. I worked that business. I was down and it was another produce market in and then we brought in grocery items a couple years later, but I loved it, man. It was exactly what I love to do, man. I was a 7-day-a-week operation, and I was down at I remember waking up at 3:00 in the morning, going down to the produce stocks. So I was down at the produce stocks at 5:00 in the morning, to get the fresh produce and be able to pick the freshest stuff out for my customers and bring it back. And then what did I have to do? Bring it back, had to set up the store, had to get everything ready for the customers coming in. Man, I wasn't done into the day. After the end of the day, I'd close my doors at 7, 8 o'clock at night in the winter, or in the fall, in the spring. Once it was summer, man, I was open till like 9 o'clock at night. Close my doors down. What do I got to do? I got to do the books for the day. Got to close out the till, the cash register. Got to batch out the credit card terminals. Got to do everything. Right? And so now it's 10 o'clock at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm still at the store. And I'm happy. How many of you could put in those kind of hours and say you're happy? You can only do that if you're working on your dream and your desire. That's the only way it's going to get done, because that desire is going to give you the motivation and the commitment for you to go out and put your body into motion to get it done. And you know what the old saying goes, do what you love to do, you never work a day in your life. And that is so true. But what happened? What happened during that period of time? My family, man, my family fell apart. It was going down. That was the beginning of the end for my family right there. Because my wife was saying, boy, he cares more about that business than he cares about me and the family. And so yeah, I was putting massive action into one area, but I was forgetting about these other areas. And you know what else happened? The old neighborhood guys from around the store would come over with beer at night. We'd drink, and then I developed a habit and a problem. Fast forward another year and a half, I just like most small businesses who don't last 5 years, right at that 5-year mark, my business didn't last either. And it was because of my habits, plain and simple. I was putting in the action. My family was falling apart. What did I do to cope with that? I started drinking and smoking pot, right? And those things, just all they do is escalate. And you can't become light. You can't live in light. You cannot live in light holding on to darkness. You cannot live in light holding on to darkness. You just can't. You can't go out and be the best you can be and still hold on to old bad habits. You've seen those videos I put out in the past, those short little videos about habits, and man, scientifically proven. You cannot go out. It's a fact. You cannot live with the self-image of darkness and that you're thinking down and go out and become light. You can't go out and get a better life. You can't go out and achieve your goals. You can't go out and do all that stuff if you have a poor self-image and poor self-confidence. If you see yourself in a hunkered body state and you see yourself living in the shadows, and when you see yourself in the image, in the picture of your mind, and it's always dark and there's always bad things happening, you can never move forward. Why did you get there? You got there because of all the past conditionings and the resentment that you're holding on to based off of the emotions from the past beliefs. You got to let it go. You got to learn to let it go. And just know, if you've already said, I'm sorry, and you forgive it, and you've asked for forgiveness, you've been forgiven. Okay? If you haven't, do it and move forward. Because once you ask for forgiveness, you've been forgiven. And then you could become light. But it's going to change. It's going to take you changing your mindset in order for you to become light, for you to get out of the fog, get out of the darkness, and then become light. So then, as my business was failing, as I was seeing everything I worked so hard for and dumped everything into, my whole life into, and seeing that all get flushed down the drain because of bad habits, I go and I answer a newspaper article to go be a car salesman, a part-time car salesman. And my idea originally getting into it, thinking that I was going to be a part-time business owner and a part-time car salesman and be able to keep my business going. But I didn't learn until years later that it was the conditioning, it was the habits of the reason why I wasn't able to make that happen. But anyway, I got hired at this car dealership. I had to sell my way into getting a job. That was his interview, is that you had to close him on the job. So I had to sell my way into getting the job, had to sell my way into getting the interview with him. I didn't have any experience. He was looking for somebody with experience. So you hear that? And so if you don't think life is sales, or sales is life, or there's a correlation, there is a direct correlation. I had to sell my name. I had to sell my presence into the interview. But I got the job. And these people were so great. They took me under their wings. They taught me everything, how to run a car dealership, a small car dealership, not a big franchise name, but a used car dealership. They taught me how to run a used car dealership. And they taught me the right way of how to do it. And they knew they taught me the right way. They knew I held on to that knowledge, and they knew they could trust me. What did they end up doing? Man, they ended up hitching up their RV trailer, taking off for a week, 2 weeks at a time. Hey, just take it. And they would give me instructions on who to give the business, the B&O tax to. They give me instructions on how to take the deposits and properly put them into the bank and how to record them and everything. It was a great lesson. Then the economy tanked. Remember the cash for clunkers when people were crushing cars? They were taking their old 78 Ford LTDs, and they were taking them into the dealership, or they were taking their old town cars or, their old marquees, and they're taking them into the car dealership, and they were getting $4,500. The government was paying them $4,500 for them to trade those cars in on a new car that got better gas mileage. Those of you who are alive in the recession remember that, but those were the cars we were selling. We were selling the cars retail for $4,500. Those same cars, they were crushing and getting on trade and getting into a new car. What happened to business? Of course, during that period of time, business dried up. They still held on to their business, but I was still living on to old habits. So was I able to save an emergency fund when things like that went bad at that time? Heck no. So what did I have to do? I had to give up the people I loved and the place I really wanted to be at, and the place I wanted to continue to learn from. Why did I want to stay there? Man, I told you I'm entrepreneurial. I wanted to open a car dealership. That was my goal. I wanted to open a car lot. I wanted to open a car dealership, and I wanted to grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it. So I had to pivot. I had to shift, and I had to go work for a name brand new car dealership. So I went to go work for the best brand I thought I could, Toyota. And I worked for Toyota for a couple different dealerships. Started off at one dealership, worked there for a few years. It definitely was, at the time, was the biggest Toyota dealership in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. And I worked for them for 12 years. I put 12 years of my life into them. I climbed that ladder. Guess what happened? The owner sold to a national corporation. 6 months later, they phased my department out. Right? And here I am. And so that is the story of me. What's the story of you? Are you, when we have these things and these roadblocks and these things that come into our life, what are you doing? Are you just having a pity party? Because that happens to all of us from time to time. There isn't one person out there at one point in time, no matter how strong your mind is, that you just go, man, dang, I wish I would that. I wish I would have. We all do that, and it's okay. It's okay to do that from time to time, but you got to catch yourself in that moment of when you're doing it and replace it with a new thought of victory. The new thing, right? The new program, the new dig, baby. You got to move forward. You always got to move forward. So after about 7-8 years in the car business, at that time, as you know, if you've been listening to the story, I already had a problem, right? And so it just kept escalating, kept getting worse. One morning I woke up in the hospital. And by the grace of God, I didn't hurt anybody and I wasn't hurt. But there was consequences to be paid. Next morning, I knew I wasn't a meeting guy, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get clean and sober by me going through a 12-step program. It just wasn't in me. Man, I hated meetings at work. I hated school. I hated sitting down. I hated classrooms. I hated sharing feelings. I hated all that. So I checked myself in, and here's a tip for anybody who's got a problem. If you got an opiate problem, a marijuana problem, alcohol problem, and you can't do the meetings and deep down you're not meeting driven, go to Schick Shadle. Schick Shadle is an actual hospital. And this isn't a plug for Schick Shadle. I'm just telling you where I went. They work with just about any insurance program out there, and it's a medical fit. They condition you. It's adverse therapy, and it's a medical fix. And I woke out 12 days later, clean and sober, and I haven't touched a drop since. And I'll tell you what, man, it despises me. I see people tearing their lives apart with alcohol. Man, you cannot do that. Alcohol is such a bad poison. Such a bad poison. You're killing yourself. You're killing yourself. Every time you have that beer, every time you take that shot, and you're poisoning your body. And you keep doing that year after year after year, pretty soon your organs are going to shut down. You ever hear those alcoholics that pee themselves? And they didn't pee themselves because they were drunk. They peed themselves because they could not hold on to their bodily fluids because their organs are shutting down. You're programmed to think it's okay. You're programmed to think that, hey, it's a good time, man. Crack that 6-pack. All it's going to do is kill you. As I mentioned a few times, I've been an entrepreneur throughout my whole life. So I've already heard plenty from positive mental coaches, the mindset gurus out there. people who put out the books and the audio cassettes and everything else. And there, throughout my life, I'd listen to these people on and off, on and off, on and off. And I think that was a big, another reason why I kept moving forward and kept believing in myself. I really do. I really think that reading good books and putting good stuff in your ears and into your eyes, the things you watch on TV, all that has to play with your self-image. And if you're constantly just listening to bad music, I love bad music, but if you're constantly listening to bad music, I also listen to good music. If you're constantly listening to bad music and you're constantly watching bad TV, bad bullshit, you're watching the violence, the killing, the drugs, all that over and over and over again. And then you go out and you get bonked on the head every single day. You can't expect that you're going to be living in light. You're going to be living in darkness because that's all that you're surrounding yourself with. So turn that stuff off. Clean out that clean out that garage. Dump that garbage. Yeah. And so that was my awakening. If there was ever awakening, that was my awakening. And I realized right there what my goal was and who I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to do. I knew my purpose right then and there. And so I started going back through some of those old cassettes, those old books, and, of course, watching YouTube videos. And I started listening to people. And then, of course, being in automotive sales, there's one person out there that dominates the market. So I listened to him because everything he taught me about sales, I put into practice. Man, it worked. Everything. The man's never lied to me. And so I kept studying. So I kept studying. And I kept putting this good stuff in, man. And this guy was putting out a book almost every year, it seemed like. He's putting out some kind of book or booklet or something every single year. And so I plugged into his podcast. I plugged into everything else. And he wasn't my only teacher. I got a couple other coaches and teachers out there too. But man, I'm just listening. And I'm growing. And then I kept setting targets. And I got into goal setting. I got into goal creation and realizing my dream. And yeah, those were selfish dreams at first. Those were selfish things at first, but you have to start selfish in order to be able to move on. So I created, right? I had already and without me knowing it, I had already destroyed my family. So what was the next thing to fall? My family, man. My family left. We went through our times. They just couldn't put up with it anymore. They couldn't put up with my BS anymore. And it ain't their fault. I don't blame anybody. I blame me. Me for my own actions. And that's how I think now. Everything I create around me, everything that happens to me is because of what I had done in the past. Somehow, some way I was involved in that in the past. I was an undefeated wrestler in high school. Do you know I never made it to the state tournament? I was an undefeated wrestler throughout the regular season. Do you know why I never made it to the state tournament? Because I went out the night before and started pounding the beers. I went out to party the night before and started pounding the beers. And so the next morning, I'm hungover on the wrestling mat, and I'm letting guys pin me, who I pinned in 13 seconds. And then I was out. 3 rounds, I was out, and there went my wrestling career. Why? I was living in darkness. My conditioning. I thought I was living in light because I was having a good time. But it wasn't, man. It was darkness. So moving forward with this goal setting and this new mindset I've created for myself, things started happening, man. I started setting these goals. I came up with this. And this is when I was in the hospital, getting clean, getting sober. At the end of it, I came up with this. It's like a flash of light, like a snap of the finger. Came up with it was all clear. The blueprint of how to get what I wanted out of my life from that point on was clear. And there was those 4 steps. And I saw that and I go, okay, my goodness, I'm going to start doing this. And I started setting yearly income goals, and I started setting other goals. And I started hitting these goals. And the vision of this 4 steps on how to go about and doing it, where did I learn that, man? Where did I learn that from? I learned that from all the different good teachers and philosophies that I learned throughout the years. And so by putting it into motion, it was working. And if it works a couple times, you believe it even more. And now when you set goals, now they don't become selfish anymore. Now they become bigger goals and bigger goals and bigger goals. So throughout the next 5 years of me being sober, I was helping sales associates, helping them set goals, helping them achieve new levels, bringing the store up, having the whole store, sell more, produce more, retain more business. I only left that company because it had nothing to do with the people or how I have so much admiration and respect and gratitude for that company. But the only reason why I left that company is because the job they wanted me to do no longer aligned with my true vision, no longer aligned with my goals and what I want to achieve out of life. I want to help 10 million people. I don't tell you this to brag. I only tell you this to help, to let you know that I'm here to help you. And that's the reason why I'm giving you that's the reason why I bring all this to you for free, is so I could truly help. And to let you know that you can have it too. You can truly have what it is, anything you want out of life. Whatever you want out of life, you can have it. And if you can see it in the vision of your mind, that is something or somebody, higher power, telling you you need to go out and get it. Everything I tell you, number one, I practice it in my own life. Number one, I know it's good and I know it's real. I know it's backed by facts. It's not some smoke and mirrors. It's not some mystical fairy dust that you're throwing up in the... Go back if you haven't seen my videos and take a look and watch some of my videos. Click my playlist and just watch. And everything that you'll see in there, everything that you hear, all these ideas that I'm trying to teach you and help you out with, or help people out with, these are things that I do in my own life. And I wouldn't bring it to you if it weren't the best, if I didn't know it to be true, and didn't know it to be backed by facts. My goal is to bring you the best I can in life coaching, business coaching, sales training, and your personal finances. And so you've heard me say this a few times already, 10 million people. I want to help 10 million people get that stuff right so they can see a bigger goal and a bigger vision to help make the world a better place. If everybody's on the same page and we're all thinking and trying to do better and trying to do more good in this world and in society, the earth we live on will automatically become a better place. Because if more people are living in light than in darkness, this world will become a better place. And I believe it is. A lot of people think it's the end of the days. I think it's just the beginning. I think there's going to be so much good coming around the corner. My pastor has always told me that it's always darkest before the light. And so you're always at the deepest part of the valley before you break through and achieve great things. Okay? Before the good happens, you got to go through the valley. Okay? That's what my pastor has always taught me, and that's what I believe. That has always been true in my life, and that's what I'm teaching you. So I want to help you understand that you can have it all. Now, I woke up this morning, I had some great news, right? Opened up my email, and in there was, I had just got my business license number to conduct business. So this isn't really about my grand opening, but today is my official grand opening day because now I can truly conduct business. So first thing when I opened up that email, went to my website, turned on my products, and now you can actually go in and put your credit card number in and actually buy a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, buy a coaching session. If you go onto the website and on my website, thehardknockstate.com, right underneath my banners of subscribe for perks, to get notified with email, video releases, the new information that I come up with that I'm willing to share to you that I may not put on YouTube. But if you go in and you subscribe to that, you'll be able to buy a hot dog t-shirt for my grand opening special for $11.99. Now, all the proceeds of my t-shirts and my sweatshirts, the only reason why I have sweatshirts and t-shirts on my website, or the only reason why I offer them, is to help fund my coaching business. Everything I do gets rolled back. All the proceeds of the t-shirts and the sweatshirts get rolled back in to help bring you a better product. So if you buy a t-shirt, just know, you buy a t-shirt or you're buying a sweatshirt or you're signing up with a coaching session, the proceeds of that are going to help to bring you a better production for these YouTube videos. It's going to help you bring you better information, better learning tool to help you grow so you could achieve your dreams. What's coming up next is I'm going to be bringing you the best platform for coaching, life coaching, business coaching, and sales training, and personal finances on the face of the planet. And so right now I'm studying, I'm learning as much as I can. I'm learning how to bring this platform to you so you can take advantage of it and I can help you achieve your goals and get what you want out of life. So you are not darkness, you are light. You are not darkness, you are light. Say that with me. I am not darkness, I am light. In fact, put that into the comment below. If you believe you are light and not darkness, put in the comment below, I am not darkness, I am light. I want to tell you something. If you think you're not good enough, or if you think because of what's happened in the past that God can't bless you, or you don't deserve to get the good in life, you just need to let that go right now. You need to let that go. I've said this a few times in this video already, that if you've already asking for forgiveness for things you've done wrong in the past, you've been forgiven. And you need to understand that. Today's a new day. At the end of this video, you know what I'm doing? I'm wiping this board clean and I'm forgetting about this video. I may not forget about it. I may go through and I'm still going to edit it and stuff. And I'm going to make sure I try to do my best to bring you the best product I know how to do up until this point. Keep in mind, I'm still studying and I'm still growing. But I am light. I know I am light. I know there's a spark in me. I know there's a spark in me to do more and better and bigger things in life to help more people. Okay? I want you to think about this. Okay? Exit in the Bible, and this is from the new version, but the New International Version. But Exodus 2:12. Looking this way and that, seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and he hid him in the sand. So Exodus 2:12, I'm going to repeat that again. Exodus 2:12, looking this way and that, seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Who said that? Who killed the Egyptian? Moses. Do you know that? Do you know Moses was a murderer? Moses killed a man. Darkness. Okay? God called on Moses. What did he call on Moses to do? God called on Moses to take the Israelites out of bondage and out of slavery from Pharaoh, right, the Egyptian, and lead them in and then lead them into prosperity. So for 40, so there and God worked through Moses and his brother Aaron, and they worked through Moses because because God would not change the mind of Pharaoh. God purposely did this to Pharaoh for keeping the Israelites, for harming Israelites. Okay. Do you know and it says that when God came and spoke to Moses, and it says when God came and spoke to Moses, Moses says, "Why, God? Why me? Don't you know I've murdered a man?" God had forgiven him. He had asked for forgiveness. And so what did he do after that? So without knowing, God said, "You are the one, Moses." God entrusted him with the 10 Commandments, right? He entrusted him with his people. He entrusted him with the Israelites. For 40 years, he trusted him, right? God spoke through Moses. God helped the people through Moses. Moses was not darkness. Moses was light. Moses thought he was darkness and did not think he was good enough. Moses did not, that's the whole point of this. He killed a man. He did the worst thing you could ever do. Committed murder. And God still used him. You are light. You are not darkness. Did he believe in himself? No, absolutely not. He did not believe himself. Okay? What did he do after he killed a man? So what did he do? When God was using him, what did he do? He helped people change for the better. My pen's running out, John. My pen's running out. Need new pens. Did he believe in himself? No, absolutely not. He did not believe himself. That he could do good and change the world? Not at all. Nope. You know who did? And I believe in you too. I believe in you, and I'm here to help you. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Go to thehardknockstate.com. You can hit me up you can give me a call. So I'm here to help you. And you will set new and bigger and better goals. Eventually you'll get to this place where you're going to want to help other people. And it was asked of me once I understood this, if I would just go out and share it with other people. Go out and share it with other people and help them realize they can get whatever they want out of life. And that's what I'm doing. And if I don't answer, just know our office is closed on Sundays. Leave a message and your call will be returned. And so give me a call down below. It's 360-615-2070. That's the office at thehardknockstate.com. And that's what I want to do is help you. And I'm able to talk to you on the phone. If you don't want to put a comment and ask me a question and throw it out there for everybody to see, but you want to ask a question, man, give me a call. My office number is right down here. It's 360-615-2070. You can also email me at gregnelson@thehardknockstate.com. That's Greg, Greg, Nelson, Nelson, at thehardknockstate.com. That is also right here and in the link below. If I don't answer the phone, trust me, I'll get back to you in the order that call was received. But just know I'm probably on a coaching session. I'm helping other people. I'm creating a video, or I'm working on bringing you this new material. But I will if I don't answer the phone, or if our staff doesn't answer the phone when you call in, leave a message and you'll get that call back in the order it was received. You could also email, and we also have a new text feature on the website now too. So I'm trying to open the doors for communication for those who want to be helped. I can lead a horse to water, but I can never force that horse to drink. You have to drink and better your life. And because I was once asked that once I learned this to help people, the only thing I ask of you is once you learn this and you grasp this and you get the idea, you start helping other people too. Because if we're all working together and we're all thinking light and for the greater good and trying to help more people, the world is automatically just going to change and become a better place too. Check out my other videos, okay? If you want to learn more about the mind or manifesting things into reality, or maybe you want to learn about your finances, take a look at those. It will not lead you wrong.